Я нахожусь у президентской библиотеки Джорджа Буша-младшего. Сейчас пойду. Эта библиотека располагается рядом с Южно-методическим университетом. Там есть такой городок, если я по нему позже пройду, сюда тоже того стоит, наверное. Ну, пойду. У них такое. Вот с другой стороны. Надо обойти. Зашел в библиотеку. Вход был немножко найти как-то сложно. Пойду посмотрю галерею. Тут about история.
Today we affirm a new commitment to live out our nation's promise through stability, courage, passion, and character. God bless you all. God bless America. I am honored to be serving as your governor. I'm running for president of the United States. There's no turning back.
This promises to be one of the closest races in American presidential history. It is shaking up. All eyes on Florida.
So that make sure that everyone has the skills necessary to succeed in this country.
And it's working. It's working. You know, the first year this school was tested under No Child Left Behind, it didn't meet standards.
Это металлическая колонна, оставшаяся от башни Близнецов. Здесь отличный раздел посвящен этой теме.
And tomorrow, the good people of America go back to work. We need to go back to work tomorrow, and we will.
September 9th was a day that was seared.
The fundamental tenets of the Islamic faith.
So did our national security strategy. There have been many critics who wrote.
Здесь будет копия овального кабинета сейчас.
It's just an interesting quality, and when unless you meet them in person, you wouldn't necessarily see them. Now, a president can decorate the room any way they want, and most presidents put things that remind them of home. Obviously, picture the carpet and the wood Finally, they ended up putting a path of linoleum.
Oh, that's-
I say that because I want you to know, every president uses this as their office. And please come on in, and you're welcome to take any pictures, and please feel free to sit anywhere. I highly have a document to be signed, or you were giving a briefing, you were attending a staff meeting that had an agenda. It was a more formal place. Now, there were places in the West Wing where people could talk about how the Washington football team did, or, you know, they were very popular because the president only has to take a few steps out there. He can stand behind a podium and a microphone. He can say, I nominate Ms. Jones to be my new Secretary of Transportation. I have known her all my life, and I know she'll do a wonderful job. They shake hands and smile, click, 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 smile, click, 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 and he congratulates the parents, gives one last hug, and then he's right back to work. I'm exaggerating, but it's a real quick ceremony, and you can squeeze it into the president's schedule. If you're at home and you hear somebody say, we're going to wait from the White House, there's going to be a ceremony in the State Room. Well, then it's going to be a foreign policy address, or they're going to present medals of honor, something that's going to take a longer period of time. Rose Garden things are usually very short into the president's schedule. And this door is closed most of the time. There's no exit sign. There's no handle on the door. It's curved. It just blends in. And the secretaries, administrative staff, and Secret Service agents are there, and they just wait until they're summoned. You don't interrupt meetings and ask if anybody needs more coffee. But if this button is pushed, or the one like it next to the phone there, the door opens and a Secret Service agent appears and says, yes, Mr. President, you can ask for whatever he needs. This is a full-size replica of the Oval Office. It's accurate in every detail in terms of all the decorations. Hundreds of photographs were taken so that everything is placed where it was in the last months of the Bush presidency in early 2009. You are welcome to sit on any piece of furniture, take any photos you'd like. You can really feel like you are visiting. This is unlike any of the other replica Oval Offices throughout the other 13 presidential libraries. You're most welcome. I hope you enjoy your visit.
All right, thanks.
Yes, because originally a British sailing ship in 1854, HMS Resolute, was on a rescue expedition, and it got stuck in the Arctic, got stuck in the ice. It had to be abandoned, and an American whaling ship retrieved it, towed it back. They fixed up the sails and cleaned it up, and they sent it over to Queen Victoria as a gift of friendship between the American people and the British people. That turned out to be a very significant diplomatic gesture. Our relations at that time with the United States. She had several pieces of furniture, made from the wooden decks of the sailing ship, including two nearly identical desks, one for her in Buckingham Palace, the other for Rutherford B. Hayes. In 1880, the Resolute desk comes into possession of the White House. And since then, not every president, but most presidents have chosen to use it. Now, President Roosevelt, you may remember, had to wear leg braces from, I think it was polio that he had as a child, and he was often in a wheelchair. So this, what was originally a partner's desk, which is to say it's open and drawers on both sides, plenty of room, so a legal firm or accounting firm, whatever, could share. This was closed. They'd have a planter or a safe or other things so that the press or other people who were here interviewing FDR wouldn't be distracted by his being in a wheelchair and his legs in braces. What happened subsequently is, of course, when they entered what is now called the modesty panel, there were hinges. I don't know if you can see the hinges here, and it actually swings out. And many people have seen that
Yeah.
photograph of little John,
Yep.
JFK's son, being in the office and crawling through that little space. And this picture is one of the things that made the Resolute desk well known as a piece of furniture throughout America. Subsequently to Kennedy's assassination, they took the Resolute desk on tour, if you will, and visited various cities around the United States, a little bit reminiscent of Abraham Lincoln after his assassination, his body being taken by train and allowing people to give him a final salute. So that's the story of the Resolute desk.
So-
I hope you enjoy your visit.
So what, you said not all of the presidents have used it. So
That's correct.
If it's not in use, where does it
Oh,
reside?
like all things that are used in the official parts of the White House, they stay in warehouses in the Washington DC area and become part of the White House archived collection. And Mrs. Bush commented in her book about going with Barbara Bush, who had also been First Lady, on what she called a great shopping expedition, because you can go to these warehouses and mix and match. You can have, like, Truman era nightstands, or you can have, the Eisenhower dining tables, or you can have, the desk lamps from this, or the china from this, and of course you get to design a set of china for your own. But the idea is, in terms of decorating these rooms, you get to pick. But once it's used as an official part of the White House, it has to stay in that collection. Now, if it's a piece of art that's been borrowed from a museum, it can be returned, obviously. And your personal photographs back here on this desk, those are yours. But anything else, if you buy a new couch, it's going to now become part of the system.
Now, I remember the article in one of the other displays where he talked about he had a picture of John Quincy Adams to needle his father with him. I noticed, so you said this was the way it was when he left the White House.
Yes, what the background on that is that, first of all, almost every president recognizes Washington in some way, a bust, a portrait, something. He was the first president, he set a high standard, and that's kind of a routine thing for any president to do. If they put the portrait of Washington above the mantle in the place of honor, as George Bush did, it's something of a tradition to select a second presidential portrait and put it over here. This would be one that you found particularly inspirational. George H.W. Bush, second or third day that George Bush is in office, comes in, and President George Bush tells us that he comes right over and says, "Why is this not my picture? Wasn't I the most inspirational president in your life?" And George Bush tells us, "I told him, Dad, I have a picture of you in my heart, but I wanted Lincoln on the wall." So that's how that worked.
I remember sitting down with Crawford with Prime Minister Koizumi of Japan. We probably spent an hour and a half just chatting about personal matters as well as issues facing the world.
Well, anyone that knows our dad knows that he is a hysterical person to begin with, and he loves to laugh, and he loves to make others laugh and make sure that others around him feel comfortable.
Our parents are really funny. My dad makes us all laugh all the time. So I think that was a good tool, especially during the years.
I think you better do it there. I think it's a human more than mine.
I was going to start off, and I
Это ротор вертолета задний. Ну и разные вещи, относящиеся.
No man has gone before. Nuclear proliferation. Nuclear proliferation.
I was surrounded by people who were young and smart and hardworking, but knew how to laugh.
The door to the Oval Office is a little peephole. This is Karen Hughes speaking in me. This is Carl Rove speaking in me. This is County Rice speaking in me. Scott has no name.
I was a librarian, spent 12 hours a day. Like someone that changed. Now, of course, we spend his days clearing brush, cutting trails, taking down trees, or as the girls call it, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The way you used to kiss me, but soon I'll touch the brown of home. Nailed it.
Thank you for letting us share our memories of a special time in our family's life.
And thanks for coming here today. Hope you enjoy the library.
Ну, посвящен благотворительности и прочему. Подарки от поездки.
Use the touch screen to choose one of the decision points.
President Bush was actually visionary in creating
The majority of the theater chose to
and
serve.
other great national monuments in the city. It really took people by surprise and was a very courageous act on his part. That has created a momentum. It is taking on a life of its own, and it is so exciting.
Посвящено разным кризисам, финансовый, ураган Катрина.
Designated the Children's Marine Reserve, protecting 247,000 square miles of diverse deepwater habitat in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The decision to designate Chase Island as a marine protected area. And we're starting to do the basis to do that.
We believe America is the most innovative, productive, entrepreneurial country in the history of the world. And we believe that the right policies and the right attitude, we're forever going to be a great economic power for the good of the world.
George and I were always impressed with the men and women who volunteered to serve in the United States military.
One of the purposes of the Warrior Open is to celebrate those who have served our country and to remind our fellow citizens how fortunate we are to have men and women volunteer in places of need.
Other countries and President
Ladies and gentlemen.
Which, by the way, is good for democracy to have people vote for unfunded leaders.
And leaders who can think.
Koizumi, for sure, in his last trip to the United States, he asked Laura